Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? It's proclaimed the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to a sad Steelers recap. I am your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash. The Steelers took on the Bengals at Heinz Field in Week 8, and they lost 16-10. A very depressing defeat for Steelers and all Steeler fans, especially with the loss of Le'Veon Bell for the season. Torn MCL. Beat nuts.
Yeah, Cincinnati 7-0 for the first time in team history, and the Steelers moved to 4-4. And I'm telling you right now, this division is over unless Cincinnati really just completely falls apart.
Well, I'm going to say the Steelers have hope still, just because you said the Pirates had hope at winning their division until they were literally eliminated. So I'm going to do that and pull that card.
You can go ahead and do that, but that would be the same as the Pirates being 20 games out of first place right now, in my opinion. The same thing as being pretty much 3.5 right now, 4 games really out of first place because you're 4 losses behind. And you look, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're only 1-4 in the conference this season. Their other 3 wins came in the NFC.
Too bad it wasn't like fantasy football where the first tiebreaker was points scored. We could just hurry up, put up mad points for the rest of the season. We're screwed. Wild card.
Yeah, and it starts with Big Ben, too.
It's going to have to stay with Big Ben all season because, like I just said, we lost Le'Veon Bell. He was, I believe, somewhere around 5th in rushing after even missing 2 games this year. He was on pace to have another beast year just like last year. Maybe not the same exact numbers, but somewhere in the area. Torn MCL, I mean, can D'Angelo Williams, he's not going to be Le'Veon Bell, but can he fill in for Le'Veon Bell? They added Isaiah Pead. Is that what I see?
Isaiah Pead. No, he's not the greatest running back in the world, but I've seen worse. I mean, if you go out there and sign him right now, it's not the worst signing in the world when your top running back goes down. But can D'Angelo Williams fill in? Yeah, D'Angelo's a good running back, and it's not like their season's over now. But I heard Mike Tomlin say at halftime that it's no different with Le'Veon and D'Angelo. You just plug them in and play the same way.
That's a Tomlinism. I hate that.
Yeah, there's no way in hell you play the same way with D'Angelo as you do Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon, you have to feed that guy the ball. You're not trying to feed D'Angelo.
Honestly, what I hope happens now, and I know Ben had a really bad game, 28 of 45, 262, 3 picks, only 1 touchdown. But you got to feature Big Ben, right? I mean, you got to let him go out and throw the football. You still run it. I'm not saying you don't run it. D'Angelo should still get around 20 touches a game. But, you know, Bell got the 20 carries and 10 catches half the time. I mean, this guy's getting 30 touches a game. You're not going to do the same thing. D'Angelo is not the receiver that Le'Veon is out of the backfield. So they're going to have to let Ben run a lot of no-huddle offense, spread the ball around, get Brown and Bryant involved. Was it you telling me? Somebody told me that Bryant supposedly got his hands tattooed on Saturday before the game.
No clue.
So maybe Ben needs to go talk to him and tell him to get his tattoos not so soon before games. And they're just going to need to be better on offense. They're going to have to put up points through the air now.
Yeah, Ben has to get better. That's the main thing. I mean, Ben did no better than Landry Jones or Michael Vick did since he went down, really, because the 3 picks, that's more turnovers than those 2 had combined, probably.
I mean, we said in the preview show that Ben usually plays bad in his first game back, and he only averaged 5.8 yards per attempt, and that's the biggest thing with Roethlisberger in this offense. Whenever their yards per attempt is closer to 7-8 yards, they're winning football games. When it's down at this 5.8 clip, that's when they're not winning games. They're not putting points on the board.
Look, they scored on their first drive of the game, and the first drive of the game has nothing to do with how the game is really going to go. It's more of a scripted drive, and everybody's still all pumped up. Some guys' nerves are still going, so the first drive tells nothing, and that's when they went down there with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and Ben all looked good on that drive. They went straight down the field, scored a touchdown, and then the next 4 possessions of the first half were all punts. And then in the second half, they began with a Ben interception. They got a field goal just because of Heath Miller. He had catches of 14, 26, and was hitting the head and got 15 yards on a penalty for that. So that drive where they got that field goal was all Heath Miller. And then it was punt, interception, interception.
They went 3 and out 4 total times in the game, and 2 of them were right before Ben's back-to-back pick. So they went 3 and out, pick. So for 4 straight
Terrible.
drives, we didn't even hold the ball for more than 3 freaking plays. The 3 turnovers, they were 3 for 11 on third down. The offense looked rusty. It most certainly looked. Brown didn't even get his 5 for 50. He's bitching the whole time with Landry Jones and Michael Vick. Ben comes back and he doesn't get it again. Streak's over. 1. It's over.
Well, it's partially his fault again. He had another drop in this game, and really, since Ben went down, he really hasn't been the same type of player. He's been more agitated somewhat, I guess you would say, and he's just not been himself. He dropped many passes when Ben was out. It wasn't all on those quarterbacks, and really Martavis Bryant too. He could have really had a big game in this game if a couple things just went the other way. In fact, you remember he dropped a touchdown pass in this game. They called pass interference on it and then picked the flag back up. And really, I don't know if there was pass interference or not, but Ben put the ball on the spot
Right
and
in his
Martavis.
face, literally.
No, not that play. The play, it was in the end zone. It was right in his hand.
Okay, you're right.
And he dropped it, and that could have been a touchdown right there. And yeah, the one that hit him right in the face, but that ball was tipped, so that one's kind of tough. But there was a couple plays Martavis could have made in this game, and if Ben was a little bit better on his game, if Martavis was on his game, I mean, this could have turned out a little bit differently. But if you think about it, man, Ben, Brown, Bryant, and Bell have been on the field together for about 22 minutes this season.
It sucks. We thought we were going to have the big 3 come in and put up mad points, just mad yards, dominate games, control drives, and we've done the complete opposite.
And like you said, Le'Veon Bell going down, that's going to hurt moving forward. I think the Steelers are going to have to change the way they play a little bit with D'Angelo Williams. I mean, if you look in this game, he did have 71 yards rushing on 9 carries, a 7.9 average, but one of those runs was for 55 yards.
Believe it.
And that was actually the same drive that Martavis did drop that pass in the end zone. And really, there was a coaching mistake on that drive as well. I believe they should have kicked the field goal there. It would have been a 52 or 53-yard field goal. They decided to punt on that drive, you remember.
Yeah.
And I think Boswell has done enough at this point to have a chance
Dude
to
hasn't
go
missed
for
yet.
a field goal right there. That's what I'm saying. I know it's hard to kick field goals at Heinz Field, but give the guy a chance there. And I know the defense was playing great in this game. But you got to get points there, and I'd have gave Boswell a chance.
Why does Tomlin do this? Why does he play aggressive sometimes, and then when I wouldn't even have considered it an aggressive play to go for the field goal there, he freaking punts the football. I'm surprised he didn't have Ben line up in a shotgun formation and pooch punt it like an ass.
On third down.
I just don't get it. And I'm not calling for Tomlin's job or anything, but I don't know. He needs to maybe check his ego at the door or something. I don't know what's going on. And they definitely need to get an assistant in there to help him with time management. He let the time run down near the 2-minute warning, and he says that he wanted to save the timeout for offense. What does that even really mean? I mean, I get what he's saying, but if he calls the timeout, the offense might have 38 more seconds, or 28 more seconds that ran off the freaking clock. You call the timeout the best time to call it. It doesn't matter who has the ball, offense or defense. Ridiculous.
Believe it. I tell you what, though, there is one guy on this offense that had a pretty good game, and that is Heath Miller. And I guess we
Deep
called
sleeper.
it. It was your deep sleeper this week in fantasy. 10 catches, 105 yards. And like I said, he got hit in the head, got a 15-yard penalty there. Now, I think he did take 2 penalties himself, though. He had a false start and a holding or something, I believe. So he wasn't perfect either. But it is nice to see Heath get back involved now that Ben's back, because we've seen without Ben, Heath was pretty much non-existent.
Jeremiah Smith commented on our Steelers preview show that Vontaze Burfict was activated and he was coming back, so it wasn't a net 0 week for the Bengals. And I think Burfict's biggest impact was going out and blowing out Le'Veon's knee and then celebrating afterwards.
I tell you what, Burfict had a decent game though too. I think
he
ended up with 5 tackles. And
not hating.
It was a big ad for Cincinnati coming into this game. Mac LR21 called it out too. And you know what else Jeremiah Smith said? This was basically a yellow and gold circle jerk.
Our show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he was being nice and everything. He said, good luck this week, guys, and everything. He actually said Pittsburgh was going to win 34-31. Brown Shoe T2 said the Bengals would win 43-31.
I don't exactly hide that I'm a Steeler fan, so I'm pretty sure everybody knows that.
Please believe. I mean, this is a Steelers network.
Believe it.
Please believe.
Of course we're pro Steelers.
There's another YouTube user here. This is my favorite name on YouTube. LGG Stallo trademark Boost Mobile User HD. He said we wear our 1934 throwback uniforms, Bumblebee jerseys this week. I don't know when they said they were doing it.
Oh, yeah, they announced it early in the week. Your balls are showing.
But please believe, I mean, the defense, though, that's what really kept them in the game, in this game. Shazier, him being back is huge. You could see him flying around the field again.
No to it, though. That was a little bit of a loss.
It was, but I mean,
get this guy back on the field.
Yeah, we definitely want him on the field, but it really didn't hurt that much, man. You look at what the Bengals did in this game. I know A.J. Green came up and had a decent game or whatever. What'd he have? 11 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown. Tyler Eifert only had 4 catches for 39 yards, though. They shut the run game down, for the most part at least. And you look, man, the Bengals got 2 field goals on their first 2 drives. And then they ended up punting on their second 2 drives of the first half. And then look at this in the second half, what this defense did. On the Bengals' first drive, they forced them to punt. And then on the Bengals' second drive, listen to this. Steve McClendon sacked Dalton on the first play for a loss of 9 yards. And then there was a 15-yard penalty on a peel-back block to make it 2nd and 34. And then Harrison came up and had that big pass batted down to make it 3rd and 34. And then they gained a couple yards on a screen pass for another punt. The third drive, they blocked a field goal. The fourth drive, since he drove the whole way down the field, and on 3rd and goal, Blake ended up picking it off. And then on the following drive, Mitchell intercepted the ball. But in the end, since he ended up scoring on that A.J. Green slant after a Bernard shovel pass that got him about 23 yards. But that drive actually started at the Steelers' 45-yard line because that was after a Big Ben interception as well. And then the following drive, the Bengals ended up with a field goal following another Big Ben interception. So this is all on Big Ben in the offense here. The Steelers' defense is playing way above their heads right now. And we keep saying their secondary isn't that great, and they're injured right now, but they keep going out there and putting up pretty decent performances.
Well, listen to this, man. Cincinnati had 64 plays, Pittsburgh had 67. We outgained them in total yards. We both had 10 penalties. Theirs were for 94 yards, ours were for 91. Third down, we were 3 for 11, they were 4 for 15. We had more passing yards, more rushing yards, better time of possession, more first downs. The key, though, was we had more turnovers at the worst possible times. And I'm not going to go out there and say, oh, Pittsburgh beat themselves and Cincinnati didn't deserve to win. I'm not one of those guys. I'm saying Pittsburgh screwed themselves, and between the 2 3-and-outs and then the 2 passes intercepted right in a row, screwed their defense, put them on the field for way too long. Tomlin made some horrible calls again, as he has done recently, and that's really what cost us this game. Cincinnati took advantage of the bad play of Pittsburgh, especially late in the game, and they deserve to win this football game.
Well, listen, Cincinnati didn't have their greatest game either. There was a couple bad snaps in this game that really ended drives. There was a big 3rd and 1 in this game where it was just a terrible snap, and it completely ended their drive, knocked them out of field goal range. They had another field goal blocked in that game, but really, it's not necessarily the turnovers, it's what they did with those turnovers. The Steelers...
And when they came, I feel like, too.
Yeah, the Steelers got no points off of Cincinnati's turnovers. Cincinnati, at the end of the game there, the final 10 points they scored, both off of Big Ben interceptions.
Believe it. And that's what cost them that freaking game. God, I hate the Bengals.
Yeah, so Big Ben has to get better, or we're going to see a lot more of this.
I think he'll be better. Coming into Oakland this week.
I tell you what, you wanted to keep him safe in this game, too, and he really didn't put himself in a position to stay safe. He was running all over the place. I thought he was going to get hurt again in this game. In fact, he was limping there for a little bit.
This offensive line, I'm not saying they're playing bad or anything, but they look like they're starting to play worse compared to the beginning of the year. Obviously, they lost Pouncey and Beachum, so it's expected, but they just look like they're starting to break down a little bit. Who was your offensive player of the game? Can you pick one? Is there one? Heath, I guess?
Well, I mean, definitely Heath Miller, right? Martavis Bryant, he made a couple mistakes in this game, could have had a better game. Antonio Brown could have had a better game. Obviously, he ended up scoring the only touchdown for the Steelers. D'Angelo Williams, all he had was the big 55-yard run. He caught a couple screen passes. Le'Veon Bell could have been the guy if he wouldn't have went down in this game. Big Ben's definitely not getting it. So what are you going to do? You got to give it to Heath.
I think I'm going to go Ryan Shazier for the defense. 8 tackles. He had a half sack. Just his presence in the middle of the field, I felt like kept Tyler Eifert out of the football game and kept that Steelers defense in the game. They put pressure on Dalton. They didn't sack him a lot. What did we have?
3 sacks.
Yeah. But we were in his face. We were pushing the lineman into him. He wasn't able to step up into the pocket and make good, solid throws. And I think that's why he struggled a little bit in the game. But he did come out and make the throws when it counted, and he did win. So I guess Firecrotch has got me this time.
I don't know who I'm going to give it to. Bud Dupree came out and had a sack. He didn't do much else in the game, but hey, when you get a sack in a game, if you do that every game, you end up with 16 sacks in a season, and that's a decent season. Antoine Blake came up with a big pick in the end zone there when the Bengals were going to go in and score, and he led the team with 8 tackles as well, so I might go his way, but you can't forget Mike Mitchell either. He's out there, he had a pick as well, and he's out there hitting people hard.
He was concussed at the end of the game. There's a chance he may not play this week against Oakland.
Wouldn't be surprising.
I doubt it, though. Honestly, from what I was reading, he's going to play. He says he's going to play. It would only be the NFL concussion protocol if something goes wrong with that.
So, yeah, I guess I'm going to go with Antoine Blake because the game could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for him there. How about your least valuable player in this game? That's something new we're going to do.
Offensively and defensively,
no,
or
just one guy.
Big Ben?
I'm going with him, too.
I mean, he threw 3 picks, 2 back-to-back in the fourth quarter.
And really, they were all his fault.
They were terrible passes. He owned it, too. If you've seen the press conference, he came out and he said it. I played bad. I cost the team a game. I need to play better if we want to win. He's the leader of this football team. He recognizes when he plays bad. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Ben Roethlisberger.
And Andy Dalton, he had one of his worst games of the season, but that's how you can tell Cincinnati is a good team. They went out there, beat one of their biggest rivals when their leader didn't have the best game. So you can see this is a very good team. And we were talking about how their defense was somewhat of a letdown. You got to give some of the credit to them, too. Reggie Nelson is a beast. I said that he was one of my favorite players when he was in Jacksonville, and you could see why. And you can also see why I said I don't like him anymore.
At 4-4, we're halfway through the season. What do you think the Steelers' chances are at making the playoffs?
Well, you look, this next week we're going up against Oakland. Oakland's sitting at 4-3 right now, so this is the biggest game of the season moving forward, and this is you're gonna be able to tell a lot more after this Oakland game if the Steelers have a chance or not. Because if they lose to Oakland, I don't know. I'm starting to think they don't have a great chance. Right now, I still say they're one of the favorites to grab the wild cards.
9-7, you think, still can make the last wild card?
Yeah, 9-7.
There's still a lot of football to play.
Though, if you do go 9-7, some of these tiebreakers are going to have to fall your way as well. And being 1-4 in the conference doesn't help.
What do you think? What one thing would you say has hurt the Steelers most so far through this first half of the season? The Ben injury, the Bell suspension, the Bryant suspension, Scobie just being garbage and almost costing us freaking 2 games.
Well, he did cost us 1 game for sure, but I think it's for all those reasons and more pretty much, man. You look, our first loss at the Patriots, that was on Tomlin. He did not have his team ready. The second loss on the coaching and on Scobie pretty much. Scobie missed those 2 field goals. They ended up losing to the Ravens. They went out and lost to the Chiefs. That's pretty much because Big Ben wasn't around. Landry Jones had a bad game there. The offense did not look good. And then this week, losing Le'Veon Bell hurt in this game. Big Ben coming back off of his injury did not look like himself. So a multitude of reasons. But if I really had to go with one reason, I'd say coaching.
It's been a frustrating season for a Steeler fan. That Patriots game would have went a lot different had Brady been actually suspended like he was supposed to. And I'm not making excuses for the Steelers, but, and then Scobie, he blows the game against the Ravens. Pittsburgh could easily be 6-2 right now and in a lot better position for this division, even if they would have lost to Cincinnati here. It's been a one of those years, I guess, is all you can really say.
Yeah, like I said, 22
Good teams
minutes.
overcome these bad things, though, so let's see what the Steelers are made out of.
Yeah, good teams do, but there's only so much. Like we said, Bell's been out for a while, and we just lost him again. Ben's been out for a while. Pouncey all season. Martavis Bryant was out for the first 5 games of the year. Shazier was out for a lot of time this season. Stephon Tuitt's been out the past 2 games now. So, I mean, Will Allen, who else? There's all kinds of guys. I mean, you can't overcome everything. At some point, you just got to say, hey, it's just one of those seasons.
If I said to you all those things before the season was going to happen, if I said to you all those things were going to happen, what do you think our record would be through 8 games? Would you guess 4-4?
Well, I mean, we knew about Bryant and Bell. I mean, we already knew those things, you know what I mean? So I pretty much ought to have said something like 4-4. So you got to be kind of happy with where you're at right now with everything that went down. But the way this defense is playing, I think the offense has let them down a little bit this season, and they really need to pick it up going forward. And if the defense can keep playing like they have, other teams here in the AFC still have to watch out for Pittsburgh.
Really, I feel like the offense only let them down in this Cincinnati game. I didn't expect a whole lot in the 4 games Ben Roethlisberger wasn't there.
Oh, me neither, but I mean,
the
it's
Rams
still letting
game,
them down.
they were a little bit, sluggish, 12 points or something like that. But I don't know. They put up not enough points in New England, but they put up some points. They got to play better. I'm not saying they don't have to play better.
I mean, it's
but a lot of things. You
this
lose
is stemming
Bell,
from-
you lose Bryant, you lose Big Ben, you lose your starting center, you lose your starting left tackle. I mean,
it hurts.
you're
But I
gonna
mean,
have
this
to-
is stemming from last season, too. We know what they scored 23, 24 points a game, something like that, just offensively. And they said they want to be a 30-point per game type of offense. And really, outside of that 49ers game, they haven't showed it, even when Ben was healthy.
that first drive in the Cincinnati game.
That's what I'm saying. First drives don't count.
Let's put the first drive with the San Francisco game. But that's it. I'm just asking you questions for fun now. We're getting out of it. We're done. I got to go deal with my dog with a lampshade on his head.
Is there anything else I want to... Oh, yeah, I want to just talk about the playoff picture real quick. The Cincinnati Bengals, the New England Patriots, and the Denver Broncos are all 7-0 leading their divisions. The Indianapolis Colts 3-4 leading their division, while Houston sits behind them at 3-5. Behind the Broncos are the 4-3 Oakland Raiders and the 3-5 Kansas City Chiefs. So they work their way back into this playoff race a little bit. And then behind New England, the Jets are still a good team. I know they lost a quarterback or 2 this past week.
Oh,
they still
screwed.
got Bryce Petty out there. Who knows? Maybe that guy can come in and make something happen. I mean, they got a good enough defense out there where the offense doesn't have to really be elite to be a playoff team.
They're talking about bringing people in. They got no
I'm
confidence
sure.
in Petty.
Well, I mean, they got to think of giving him a chance at least, but you still got to bring people in, obviously.
They want to bring in Matt Flynn.
And then the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins are both 3-4, so they have a possibility to get back in this as well. So there's still a lot of teams in here for the playoff race, so nothing's decided yet, but I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a good chance to outplay all of these teams because I don't think any one of them are real great, in my opinion.
If the Jets quarterbacks are both hurt for a while, they're screwed. I think Buffalo's going to fall off. I just feel like they started hot, and it's just...
They don't have the greatest defense.
Yeah, I mean, things didn't work out. McCoy's been hurt a little bit. Watkins been hurt. Tyrod Taylor's been hurt. So I think they're going to kind of fizzle out a little bit. So I think those 2 teams will kind of get out of the way. But I think Oakland is the surprise team that you'll see that'll make a push. And I think Oakland could go maybe 10-6 this year.
That's why next week's game's going to be huge. But I also think Kansas City, the way they beat the Steelers and then they went out and smoked Detroit. I know Detroit's a bad team, but they went out and smoked them this past week in London. Correct? That was the London game.
Oh, bollocks.
So Kansas City is on a little bit of a roll right now, too. I could see them getting back in the mix here.
Block you, Kansas City, unless Jeremy Maclin or Charkandrick West are doing it. But that's it, fans. You want to let us know anything, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to the YouTube page. Click and subscribe. Big ups to everybody who leaves us them comments. Keep them coming.